Nothing like that.
Okay.
Y'all ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, welcome to Your Safe Here. I'm here with Pete and Tabitha in the marketing and NPN network. I want y'all to introduce yourselves, give your social handles and all that so the people get familiar with y'all.
Ladies first.
Oh, you want me to go first?
Ladies
Okay.
first, yes.
My name is Tabitha. I own and operate an agency here in Jacksonville. Crosses marketing, PR, advertising, all that kind of stuff. And my handles are my name on everything.
Smart. Make it simple to look for you.
Yep. It's Mr. Allen, aka Mr. RP. Curator, founder, CEO, Mr. Peterson's Neighborhood, hip hop artist, DJ, podcaster, journalist, your cousin's best friend. That's me. And Mr. Alpete on all socials, MRALPETE.
Is that a bunch? That's a bunch of AKAs.
I got more, but I mean that's the surface.
I'm right there. We can get into all the other AKAs. But no, what I brought y'all in here today, of course, to talk more about marketing and this space for creatives. Because I think a lot of creatives, we look more so into creating and putting the content out there, but we don't know exactly what market to hit, what's our niche and all that. We don't know what to look for as far as the algorithms and all this. There's a lot to go into it than just putting out the content. Putting out the content is fine, especially consistently.
Yeah.
But when it comes to everything else, that's where it's like, all right, putting the work out there, cool. Now that's only part of it. Like the other half is what other 70% of it is business side that you need to look into. And this is where I would like to speak more to y'all. So first of all, we'd like to say, how did you even get into the field in the first place?
Oh wow. So I started. I mean, I went to school, so I went to UNF. That was my major. But how I got like really involved in things, because I don't want to say school doesn't teach you anything. School definitely teaches you how to learn, but I didn't really learn about my industry until I started working in it.
Yeah.
So when I was younger, I just wanted to do everything. Like anything and everything that someone would put across me that I could do, I would try it. So on the corporate side, I was dabbling in a lot of things. I had a job at the time. I was doing community stuff. But on the entertainment side, like again, anything and everything I could get into, I was trying. So I was promoting, I was working with artists, I was really doing anything I could stick my finger into. And that's a great way, like if you're young and you're trying to get into the industry, I would try a bunch of things so you can figure out what you don't like. So you have hard nose. But the only way you find that is by trying.
Good experience.
Yeah.
Right. Pete?
I mean, it was the same thing. Well, the same thing to a extent. I mean, I wouldn't.
Pete, you've been dope for a while now, so I don't know.
I know you've been kicking for a minute.
Well, my thing is like I always wanted to like incorporate myself with other people, other entities, and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
it just didn't work out. So in my mind, I was like, let me just do it. And then in the midst of stuff that I learned growing up, like simply looking at a magazine or looking at videos and being like, I always say this, like when I remember seeing like Rap City, Method Man, and Wu-Tang, they used to promote the St. Ives bottles and stuff, and I'm like, okay, rappers with this product. That makes sense, or LRG or stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, I need to be doing this. So maybe I need to partner up with a brand, or even just make my own brand and go from there. And you know, just the experience of it. So I mean, even when I just got my degree, when I went back to school, I knew a lot of the stuff that I was doing because I had already tried it. I had tried it, so it was easier to do. But yeah, it just came from experience, just like trying and seeing what's up, and just kind of throwing it on the wall and seeing if it stick, or making it stick. You know what I'm saying?
I think the making it stick is the key.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is a huge key, especially the part of making it stick, because we try a bunch of things, and not everything gonna work out. Actually, probably everything doesn't work out.
Right.
But sometimes you gotta take lessons from each one and points and bring it on to the next venture that you do.
Right.
So with that being said, like I guess what was the thing that stuck with y'all? Like, okay, this works. Let me now carry this on. What was that moment? It's like, all right, this is something I actually want to really do.
In the field itself,
Mm-hmm.
I think that it wasn't one specific thing. but it was the feeling that I got while doing it that let me know that I was heading in the right direction.
Gotcha.
It was like I'm a spiritual person, so it was like a spiritual connection with it. It was like I'm in the right place, doing the right thing at the right time. This feels true and authentic to me.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to do it. I'm not doing it to impress anybody. I would almost do it for free. So a lot of times I was doing it for free. So that's how I knew, like, okay, so I know I like this. And once you have that feeling, then to push past that, then it's, well, how do I get paid from it? How do I see an income?
And I think for me it might have been the opposite a little bit. I think the people let me know what the business was with it. It was funny because I do, I'm thinking about my first parties, NPN parties back in like 2012, and you always had that one person. You had the general people saying, "Hey man, this was dope. This is great. When you gonna do anything about blah?" But you always had that one person that come and be like, you touching a lot of people, man. Like, you bringing a lot of people together. Like, do you see what you're doing? Like, that whole, like, power action. That, matter of fact, it had to be around 2016-ish. And for, like, a couple months, certain people would just tell me about power. Like, Pete, you have a lot of power. You have a lot of influence. And I'm like, and I always associated power with, like, bad things. Especially when it comes to the sector that we're in.
Manipulation,
yeah,
all that kind of stuff. Because that's what you typically see.
Exactly. So, people kept telling me that, and I'm like, all right, let me tap into this like power thing. And I went through a whole moment for a couple months thinking like, let me see how this works. Let me analyze this, that, and the third. And then at the end of it, it was like Pete, you do have a power. You are influential.
Yeah.
And I try to use it as for the greater good all the time, for the whole time.
I think what's awesome that he's saying about that power is I think that that's what we as creators or just anything that you're doing, you forget that you have that. The power to be able to create anything in any type of space is a really big thing.
Yeah.
And I think that in the hustle of it, you forget that power. Like, you forget that, like, just as quickly as you can create one thing, you can create another thing. And if you harness that correctly, and learn how to use it and push it through, like, you could do a lot.
And I think that's the point where I think a lot of creatives try to maneuver to, is harnessing that particular power. Because in all honesty, I don't really think we really witness or know the influence we really have. Mm-hmm. Like, we hear it, but we don't see it. So it's then like, okay, how can I harness this power? Like, kind of what I guess you could say larger artists do with their fan base when they say people like they weaponize it or something like that. It's harnessing that power. Well, as people at our level, how do you particularly, like, okay, you have this influence, obviously. If you can gather this amount of many people, you can do, and they can purchase this item. Mm-hmm. That means you can get them to basically do anything you want. Now harness this power in a good way to where it also benefits you as it benefits them. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the part where a lot of creators, like I said, struggle with. How do you necessarily take that next step into doing that?
I think that it starts with, like, confidence, and I think the confidence comes from truly being educated in how that works. So the more educated you are in your field, the more educated you are in how it works, the more confidence you can have, and the easier it is for you to yield that power and move it around and do stuff with it. But if you're not confident in it at all, you know what I mean? If you don't really know what you're doing or know how to use it, I think that's what creates that feeling.
I agree. Everything you said, I totally agree on that. Like,
there's a lot of confident people that really don't know how to do anything.
Yeah, I was about to say this. You definitely got that too.
Yeah, because I know for me, a lot of people look at me and be like, Pete, you got it. This looks great. But in my mind, I'm like, man, there's like 5 or 6 things I can probably pinpoint where I feel like I can do better, or I'm just like I'm self-absorbed in myself, like, stressing myself out the way I'm thinking like, is this even right? But in appearance, everybody like, man, this is like, wow, this is great. Like, right. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that confidence for sure.
It can always be better, but you have to allow yourself to be okay with where you are in that moment, because remembering that you may not ever be there again. Like if you think about artists that have grown, or people in general that have grown in industries, like you're never at that point at that level again.
Yeah.
So I think that it's unfair when you don't allow yourself to say like, I'm doing good, I'm checking off a box here, even though you know it can be better, it could do more. But I'm proud of me getting to this point.
Exactly. Yeah.
Whew.
But that comes from, I know for me that comes from, you know, growing up. You know what I'm saying? That comes from outside of just the creativity part of it. I mean, I was never in a position where I was able to say, you know what, I did great this, that, because I was so busy making sure I was always in place to do for others, and it was just a do for them. But like nobody was really like pouring. You had that one person that pour into you and really show you that faith. But you still, at the end of the day, you have to be like, all right, Pete, change your brain, change your thought process, because you're extremely killing it right now. You know what I'm saying? Like you got everybody's stuff done, and you got this going, this motion going. Like sit back and smell the roses. You know what I'm saying? So definitely a self thing.
And that confidence rubs off. Like having that confidence and saying like, yeah, I'm doing a good job. I know that, you know, there's more that I want to do, but for where I'm at right now, for how I'm able to, like, just looking at what you're doing right now, how you're able to bring more people into and spread your influence, like that is an accomplishment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the more that you look at it as an accomplishment, so will others.
Yeah, you're right. That what's it, empowering? It's definitely empowering. You gotta empower people. You know what I'm saying? You gotta give them the confidence. Be like, hey, let's do it. Like you can
But
do it.
At the same time, it's hard to give people a confidence that you don't have within yourself, to try to instill that in somebody else, to be confident in my work if you're not presenting that confidence. And like I said, it's for artists, we are like, not even artists, just anybody as far as in a creative field or just an entrepreneur in general.
Yeah.
Living in the present, because we're always trying to think 5-10 steps ahead. And it's like, just being happy, like, you know what? I am doing good. Being satisfied with that, because we always thinking, I could have did this better. This could have been executed better. This could have been done better. This could have been done better. I could have did this. I could have did that. So 1,000 things we always ridicule ourselves about, when it's like, nah, like, hey, you'll get there to that point. Just be happy with what you did for right now.
Right.
I think it's very, it's very possible to honor one moment and still have like the mentality to prepare for the next.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But I think that honoring that moment in itself is still an important step before you do the next one.
Totally agree. I mean, I literally had that experience last night. Like literally last night, like, cause I was audio engineer. I was editing audio, but and shouts out to Energy. She was DJing in here on the other side. I always was like, man, I just need to not have any sound on when I do audio. I need to be focused on this. But the vibrations that came from over here made me work like 10 times better, faster, efficiently. You know what I'm saying? I was just like, oh, I need to adopt that. It's that energy, you know what I'm saying? But I allowed it. It was crazy. I caught myself hearing the music and like still like actively working. And that's just a simple borderline. That's, creativity, you know what I'm saying? Being back in my creative space when it was just me and I was focused on myself. So, I mean, I've been doing it for a long time, but I'm not, excluded from still getting these experiences and getting these lessons and understanding the confidence and et cetera.
That's why it's good to congregate, like it's good to be around other people as you're working. Like I'm a proponent of that. Like if I'm having a long week and if I have a lot of stuff to do, like I'll call, Krista, I call her the most, and I'll be like, hey, let's meet up. Even if we're not like actively engaged in a conversation, just being around another person that's also working, like that energy, you know what I mean? It gives you something to feed off of.
Yeah, motivate you.
Yeah.
It's like inspiration that you draw off of.
Yeah.
All right, so what are steps or things that I think entrepreneurs and creatives could look into when they first like really trying to get started? Like what are some things as far as the content and things that you need to look at as far as the numbers with the algorithms, as far as this, like with Facebook, Instagram, because there's so much and so many components to look into. Like,
You should just know what all of it means. Like, I think that at a basic level, you should just know what it means, know how it works, understand how all of those numbers translate into dollars, and just follow that train. Understand how people look at it. Where does it come from? How does the audience factor in? Like, just knowing each piece. And that takes time to do, but that's the education on your end, so that way you have a focus in mind when you make content. When you create something, you should be thinking about, who do I want to listen to this, or who do I want to experience this? What do they look like? What do they think about? What kind of clothes do they wear? Where else do they spend money?
Yep.
You know what I mean? If they're taking in this content, or they're listening to this, or they're going to experience this, like, what would that process look like for them? I think that's an important mind frame to have.
Oh yeah, for sure. I do feel like that too. I mean, with Groove Suite, that was my first like aha moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, I realized it was a void, so to say, for the type of music that Groove Suite presents in Jacksonville. In my mind, you know what I'm saying? Like, we was doing the events, and I was like, wow, like these people were really coming in and like listening to the music, like really appreciating it, because it was just not the music that was on the radio or, you know, and on the contemporary aspect of things. So that made me tap in quick. Like,
you solved the problem.
Yeah, it was like filling the void. Yeah, that. So like, I remember like that moment. Like, all right, so we can really push this. And this came from an experience from DJing at Popular Smoke. Because I knew I could DJ in there and play.
Oh, I miss the Poppy days.
That, like, play that type of music. So I'm like, and then when they closed, I'm like, people were still feeding.
I don't know what
for
they're
it.
talking about with what he just said.
Listen,
I'm gonna act like
Poppy Love Smoke was a whole vibe. Like, that's an era in time that can never really. I don't know if that could be duplicated.
they can't.
I think Groove Suite and what you've done there, it does come very close. Like, that's the best version that we would probably get.
Yeah.
But what you guys did with Poppy, I don't know how.
All right, so school me on Poppy. Poppy Love Smoke.
Poppy Love Smoke. Yeah, so Poppy Love Smoke was it was a bar. It was a lounge.
Yeah.
It was a lounge, but it was ran by Asian plumber. He was a African American here in Jacksonville, and basically it was it was like a black excellence professional type of spot. You just go and, you know, all the who there, like the rappers would come.
That's where I learned who everybody. Like, I was so young in there.
Yeah,
I was so young in
Because I
there.
felt young in there. I felt like the 18-year-old in the crowd of like the 21, 25. You know what I'm saying? So if I felt that way, you probably felt.
I was really young.
You probably
in there.
felt 16 or
But
something.
it was like, for me, I was so young, and like, you know, again, Pete has been somebody. So like, Pete was somebody then. And it was like, seeing all of y'all, it was like, these are like the superstars of Jacksonville.
Yeah. And it was the black people.
Yeah.
It was black. So you would a congresswoman would come in there. The congresswoman was being in the same spot along with somebody that, you know, a beautician. But it was just black excellence. It was a place for all of us to go and really put on some nice thread, and, you know, it wasn't like too dressy, but it was like still like a standard to go there. Like, you wouldn't go there with no t-shirt or whatever.
Right.
But when you went there, it was like, if you was in there, you was somebody, or somebody brought you in there, or something like that.
Right, you just saying this, I'm like envisioning it. It just sounds
And
beautiful.
just so and then me being a DJ, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was maybe like my third or fourth year DJing, but by that time, I had already made a name doing other stuff. So for me to be in that sector to play this type of music, I'm like, oh, you mean Tim? I could play Jill Scott and Jill Scott and NDRE and Glenn Lewis and
with
play
the old
like
school movies playing
with the
on
old
the
school
TVs.
Yeah, it was so black in there. It was like black excellence.
Yeah.
So with
before
Bruce,
it was cool to do stuff around black excellence, it was already.
Oh,
there.
True, before it
Yes.
became a trend.
yeah, oh yeah. I'm glad you said that. So yeah, with that, you know, we had that moment in time, and then it stopped, and I'm like, we need to keep this going. So then that's when groups, I was like, this is a void. I'm like, I know at least 30 to 50 people that I could like do these mixes for, and this and the third. So I'm like, that's why I created it, and then people just draw to it. Like, even the group, I think the group on Facebook I know it's definitely over 400 people, but those 400 people are like, at least 250 of them are like active. are like extremely active. Even if they, even the 400, the other 150 might not say anything, but they're in there. You know what I'm saying? So we post music in there. We keep that feeling going, that culture going, and it's like this is the niche. This is where the void is. Let me fulfill that. And
Yeah.
we've been in that pocket forever.
And you found that through, like you said, your experience. So it's like, okay, like I know I'm sick of it. There got to be other people out here like this. It's like just want to hear music that maybe not be so popular on the radio or getting played out 1,000 times a day. Like, come on, man. I just want to chill. I just want to vibe.
And I think the one thing that Pete has never been, I know we keep just like ragging on everything that Pete is doing.
Good.
But I think the one thing that he's always been really great about is he's not afraid to build it. And I think that as creatives, sometimes we're afraid of the smaller numbers. We're afraid to see it start at the beginning.
Yeah.
But nothing that is large, nothing starts large. It all starts small. And so you have to be okay with the fact that, like, I'm going to build something. I'm going to expect to see more results. I'm going to continue to build it. I'm going to be consistent at building it. I'm going to continue to pour into it. It's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to do something one time and expect to have millions of fans. No, you're going to have to build that audience over time.
Yeah. It's I was talking to my best friend. I was telling her, I was like, man, because I really want to get my master's, but I'm like really trying to like find out which angle I want to go. And marketing is the number one thing, but like marketing and then some form of education, history or something like that, or like music history. But then I was like, I was like, do I need to go for psychology or something? Because I really had to like analyze these, like my crowd, and analyze these people and really think, like you said, like find out what these people dressing at, find out what these people eat at, like
patterns,
all that stuff. Like you really like. I mean, for like one song that we release, me and you being MCs, like we have to really like take time to think about that. Like it's just a process. The ideal is a process. Creating it is a process. Writing it is a process. The production part is a process. Getting the mix is a process. So you might as well just throw in the whole. You might as well throw in the whole factor. Like, okay, well, who would like this?
Right.
Who would dig it? That's why.
Listen to it? What would it look like?
Right.
You know what I mean? When they turn this on, what are they doing? How do they vibe to it?
And I think that's
how does that fit into their normal life past just I just listen to it. Like what's gonna be that moment that they're gonna be like in the car or at home, like, oh, I wanna listen to this.
Prime example. Like I heard the line pulling up when I was listening to your project. I'm like, I mean, just like that vibe. Like I immediately went to Twitter and was like, I want to work on Aqua Groove, and I was like, I definitely gotta do more songs with Walker, because I just feel like that vibe that you have, like every time we've done something, I'm like that. We sense it, and it's just that energy that we have. You know what I'm saying? That when it was time for us to work, it's like, all right, cool, let's do it. Like it's no pressure, it's no nothing, and just think about it. It's like more people out there like us. We just have to just find the trails.
Yeah. Yeah. And back to what she was saying, like you gotta be afraid not to start building, and I think you were perfect at that. Because I think one thing we always also agree on, we're similar in, is look, if I'm not gonna be invited to the table, I'll create my own table.
Yeah.
And I've always had that mentality. Okay, like I won't say it on here, but boy, always had that aspect with them. And I'm like, all right, well, they'll see me eventually.
Yeah.
But I'll create my own space.
Or they won't, and it's fine.
Yeah. I have my own people that appreciate me and celebrate me. I'm completely fine with that.
Yeah.
But you created NPN. And then having the writer on Brittany, I think her name is.
Yeah.
Phenomenal writer. I got hooked on to her from Fred.
Yeah.
When she did the review, I was like, yo, this is so detailed. Like, I love it. And then she did the write-up on my song, and I was like, yeah. And then when you put on NPN, I was like, see, that's what I'm talking about. I was like, Pete is there.
Yeah, it just creating the whole sector, a place, I mean, granted, we try to get into these pockets, try to work with certain people, and it just don't work. So in my mind, I'm like, let me just create it. And I've always been in that space where I had to create something out of nothing. I'm talking about like from childhood. You know what I'm saying? Like in my family and just relationships or whatever the case may be, I've always been in that situation. I mean, even with my son, like, it's been plenty of times where I've had to create something for nothing. So I'm like, well, I ain't got nothing else to do, and I really love, and I really love what I do.
Yeah.
And I really love what everybody else is trying to do. So somebody gotta do it. Somebody gotta pull that chain. And I two things that I pride on: music and media. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm real big on how like stories are being told, how information is getting out to people, and I just love like just the sounds of music. So you combine those two things together. You know what I'm saying? And you go from there, man. And people got your back. I mean, even with the 40/40 article that
I saw that today.
Listen, that process, like that's a whole process. I mean, I won't even waste time on here to speak on it. And I really want to like talk about it because I think people need to hear these type of conversations, like a creative
you
process.
say it, go ahead and talk about it.
Well, so, and I may just quit. Like with the media world, like I'm presenting myself in the media world. Like I finally got in the right company with Void to where they put me on and like get me, another crowd or whatever. And then I go and start up another media company. You know what I'm saying? So that could be some form, of competition. It could be some form of, okay, well, it's love. I don't know. But I went in with those worries. And I wanted to do, like, there's a lot of stuff I want to do. But that 40/40 thing, I was like, I'm really going to do it. So I reached out to a couple people on some like, hey, this is an idea. Let me know what you think. I might need some help, just out of respect.
Right.
And nobody got back with me. And I the last time I reached out to Crystal. I reached out to her like a week ago and told her what the deal was. And I wanted her opinion on something. And she gave me the opinion, as always. And it was very honorable. And I just had to tap into myself and be like, look, let me just do this. Let me just do it. Let me put it out and go from there. And it was crazy because it was like 10 o'clock last night. Squarespace sent me like a notification. I've never got a notification from them. And it was like 267 people have hit your site, hit the page.
To go look at it.
To go look at it. I posted at 4 o'clock. So it wasn't even like a whole 12 hours. You know what I'm saying? So like when you see the power in that and when you see the confidence in that.
I think you shouldn't have put the disclaimer because fuck that. Can I curse?
Yeah, you're perfectly fine.
Well, see, that's
I saw the disclaimer and like it was before I even read it and I was like, you don't have to put a disclaimer.
No, but see,
like, that's what I was saying before. It's like people's feelings. It's like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If you want to do it, if you feel like you're empowered to do it and you have good intentions, do it.
Do it, yeah.
With no explanation. Yeah. I'm doing this because this is why I want to do it. Yeah. This is why. These are the people I chose. That's it. You don't owe anybody an explanation for why you did it, who you chose, or any of that.
Yeah, and that's the space I'm getting in. Like I said, and like I said before, like I understand your space. You know what I'm saying?
That is my space.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So I understand, but I mean, I'm a bona fide creator though. You know what I'm saying? So I understand a creator's mind. I understand like being in that space where you like you worried and you don't know and it's just that whole gray cloud and you like I don't know. But then after a while when you get like 10 to 20 people in a room and everybody like I don't know, somebody got to pull the trigger.
Somebody has to know.
Somebody has to know, or
somebody got to be willing to at least go out and seek the answers, or at least try through,
And I've always
trial and error.
Yeah, and I've always been that person in all of the stuff that I do, even with MPN. I just feel like this. I'm like, man, who would have thought? But like the people empower you, and then I had to get out of my head a lot, and that's why I'm going through like this quote unquote struggle with me being a creator on top of being the entrepreneur and being the business person.
Being in it and on top of it.
Right. And I feel like I got a good handle on it. But at my days, I am a creator.
But yeah,
so I have those doubts.
A lot of people, if we go into like the artist world or just music in general, a lot of people attack like the Kanye's and the Hoves because it's like Hove was still active, during that time period when he was starting on Rock Nation. But it was like a lot of artists, of course, that was on there during that time period complained because it was like, yo, we weren't getting pushed away. But it's like it's kind of hard for him to do that and still worry about himself at the same time because obviously he's the priority.
Right.
And same thing with Kanye, where he just got outed with the contracts, but he's doing what he learned and everything that he went through. Even though he's trying to fix it, it's like, yo, you trying to fix it, but are you gonna out yourself? Like, cause our contracts is a little.
But I feel like, I mean, and I'm sure he probably has people in place to handle those things, but maybe.
Well, he doesn't, and balls are getting dropped, and that's how that happens.
Right.
You have to make sure you have the right people in place so that if you're gonna do that, and you're gonna have a lot of different things that you're doing at the same time. Like he was early in his career when some of those things were happening. You know, thinking about Jay, you know, so now he probably moves different. He has different people in place. He has different channels that people go through. And also I would just say, like, how you look at things as an artist and what those bills look like, what that time looks like, what that money looks like, is completely different than how you look at it as a boss. And you're not always asking the right questions as an artist that you would be asking if that was your money that you were using. So it's a transition of thought and how all of that stuff works. Like, yeah, of course you feel like you're owed X, Y, and Z, but did you look at your contract up front? Did you read all the fine print? Did you just sign it because you were ready to move forward? You know, like Megan. You know what I mean? Like, read your stuff beforehand so you don't have to ask questions later.
And then, like, you know, like you said, in the aspect of what you were speaking on, it's just like you one person, you can't be all places at once at the same time. So it's like, do I continue moving myself primarily as the artist, or do I finally transition into like the boss aspect, I guess you say?
The transition is real. For me, the transition is real. Like, I really want to, like, I scream it all the time online. All the time.
Oh, yeah.
I scream it all the time.
So I had to make you comfortable. I was like, look, you just come back, you just chill.
Because I feel like I'm at a point where, well, to some point, but I do feel like I could be a great representative of being in that boss aspect of it and being able to navigate a group of creators to be able to see it a little bit better, et cetera, et cetera. Now, a lot of stuff people ain't gonna get, but I have to go back to myself. There was a transition of thought that you said. Like, I have to go back to myself and be like, bro, the ink is on the paper and it's right there, and you knew what time it was. You know what I'm saying? I think it was a story. Like, you mentioned Jay-Z. I want to say somebody said something about an album coming out. I don't even know who it was, but the album's supposed to come out, and they ain't turned in on time, and it got put on the shelf. I forgot, it was somebody on Rock Nation. I forgot who was telling the story or whatever, but they didn't meet the deadline. And in my mind, I'm like,
you can't be mad.
Like you know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not putting no business out of it, but even today it was kind of a conflict schedule. In my mind, I'm like, I already told you what time it was. You know what I'm saying? All I know is when it's time for me to be in here, I don't need nothing going on.
And I'm very no nonsense about things like that.
And I'm getting into that.
Because you have to be. You have to remove the emotion, and you just have to be like, hey, this is what I said. This is what it's supposed to be. If it's not that, then hey.
That's hard. That's hard for me, man. Because I'm such a hey, that person's
cool person trying to work with them. I'm the same
cool
way.
Too.
Yeah, you are.
As long as we get the business right.
But I think
your switch to business is like great.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
it's not a switch.
I was about to say, I don't think it's a switch.
It's business.
Because the energy,
unless we personal.
Yeah, the energy you put out there, anyways. Like, as far as like, say if somebody didn't know you just from a social media standpoint alone, it comes off as business. Don't look. Hey, this 1, 2, 3. Have your shit together. Don't come to me with no nonsense, and we can work.
Unless we just having fun. Now, if we just drinking and we having a great time, we're not gonna talk about no business.
But see, people don't know that side. That's
we just having a good time. I don't like to convolute the two because I need to make sure you take me serious.
Right, but it was a situation like that previously, and I was like, I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about this. I'm here. I'm just good. I'm happy to see her. and then immediately switched it in, and I was like, oh, and I felt your cap coming on before my cap. like when I felt it going that direction, I was like, Tab had already had her hat on, and I was I was like,
it does not switch
I looked and I saw the hat on her, like, metaphorically, and I'm like, all right, let me put my hat.
But do you ever have that switch? 'Cause I know what you was like, damn, they're like 24/7, just like. Like, do you gotta force yourself to be like, all right, like I just need to unwind and just not think about none of this?
Oh yeah, I do. You know, I try to do that every day. I try to have moments that are just my moments that are not convoluted. I get up really early in the morning, so I get up. I try to get up like in between like 5 and 7. That's my aim because that's my time. That's when I get up. I collect my thoughts for the day. I prepare myself for the day. Like I'm not focused on anything else. And then I start working. So like that gives me the beginning of my day to be able to set the tone. And I try to give myself like at least a couple minutes at the end of the day before I go to bed to like bring myself back down. You know? But even when I take like vacations, like I try to, like I'm trying to prepare now for Christmas, like to shut down for a little while. You know, but it's hard.
It's hard.
It's very hard.
It's so hard. It's very.
Because it doesn't stop.
It doesn't.
It doesn't stop.
And yeah, especially in our lines of work, it definitely doesn't stop. It's year round. So it's like you kind of got to train yourself, just force yourself to be like, all right, yeah, let me have time to myself. Let me have time with my family. Let me have time with my significant other. Let me have these time with these people.
With that, like I mean, even I know for me, like I have work to do like Monday, and after that I'm actually good. But I'm sure I'm as positive as all I do. I'm gonna wake up one morning and don't really have nothing scheduled to do. And ideas will pop in my head. I'm like, oh, I could repurpose this.
You would go, yep.
Like I'm in repurpose mode. So the next 2 weeks, I'm like, I want to repurpose a lot. Like I want to do a year review.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I know I'm gonna spend 6 to 8 hours one day.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, now what you mean by year-end review? What you mean by year-end review?
I mean, just let people know like what we've been doing. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like. Like I would say Audrey was like the initial movement of all of this. That's in regards to the podcast network. Never thought about doing the podcast. Like it was because she couldn't record at a spot, and then I was like, let's just come here, and then
from there. That's how it started. I didn't know that.
People need to know that though. Like people need to.
That's a story.
Like people need to know that. So like,
because I do remember exactly like when she couldn't record there and all that, and you was like, hey, you can just come record.
Because the neighborhood has always been like the neighborhood,
right? So
but that's what turned it into
to make it is because I always thought about doing like the whole network thing, and then because I wanted to switch it because if the partying was cool, but like. The parties that I was doing, it was neighborhood shit. It was just neighborhood-ish. Like, really like homely. Like, we homeboys, all of us together sat there. But I'm like, yeah, let me bring some, like, political message, direction to it. Let me bring a more of a educational aspect of it. So instead of just partying, let's talk about what's going on in our actual neighborhoods, and let's talk about all of that. So it started off with Audrey, what I'm saying, like wanting to start a podcast. And I mean, and after that, it was like, all right, cool. So then that's when Terry came on. We brought the conversation. We brought in Shit Talk No Fragrance. And then after that, it was like, everybody was like, yeah, you need to just do a network. And then after the network was already in my mind to do, but it rolled out right along with the network. So in that time, it started technically in January.
Yeah.
January of this year. Well, 2020. But
that's awesome.
So yeah, I need to do a year in review. Like I have a lot of footage, a lot of videos and stuff, and I want people to look through that. You know what I'm saying? Put something together and people be like
connect all those dots.
And connect all those dots.
Yeah.
So yeah. That's where I'm at with it. That's where I'm at.
Love that.
Yeah, I love that too. All right, before we wrap up, I guess I would just ask this one question. What is a goal for y'all next year?
Marketing. I need to get in that space. I need to. It was funny. Clubhouse. I said the Clubhouse.
Oh yeah, Clubhouse is wild. We ain't even finna get into the whole moaning shit that I heard about. Lord Jesus.
I still don't understand what that is.
We gotta do better, man.
Somebody was moaning on.
It was like different.
A moaning competition for what? $300. Lakeith was on there.
Yeah.
Oh, it was
Was he-
other
was he-
celebrities, but
Was
he
he
got aired.
moaning?
Yeah, Joe Budden aired. He put it on his podcast.
Yeah.
It was disgusting. This is probably the first time ever on a Joe Budden podcast where I actually want to skip past this part. Be like, you know what? Is there a timestamp? I need to know so I can just skip past this part.
So like, okay, so my honest opinion, I know this is not what we're talking about. My honest opinion about Clubhouse is like, I think it's great in the essence of like what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But I think the problem is that because it's so new, it's like anything.
Yeah.
It gives people that may not have a lot of experience or equity in the field the platform because it's something new to look like they are.
Yeah.
So every time I jump into a Clubhouse room, not all of them, but a good bit of them, it's like a lot of people that are in there giving advice and giving information that they really shouldn't be giving.
Of course. But then they were smart, I'll say this, by doing the invite only thing.
Yeah.
So now it gives off the, I think somebody said it before, the illusion of exclusivity.
Oh yeah. So
Now it's like, oh, I'd have been invited to Clubhouse and this and that. It's like, then you get them
they're
chatting like,
selling them like invites.
see?
They're selling them today.
It's smart, but it's crazy.
I got 5 invites. I think I'm at like 3 now. I'm like, cause I just don't want to talk to the people that I know ain't gonna go in there and like really work.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't want to just talk to Joe Blow and make it work, but yeah. But even to go back to that point, like a lady, I went into like a marketing room and she was like, I don't really call it marketing. I call it like experiences, like an experience or an experiment.
Yeah.
So when she said that, that's stuck in my head. Like it's been in my head for the past couple of weeks. I'm like, it's definitely an experiment or experiments. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So if I got the control to do that for my brands and for the people that's up under it, yeah, let's run it. But I still want to know the zeros and ones and stuff of it. Like I want to be in that space. So that's my goal for sure. Like I need to be around more of those people. I need to be talking. It need to be a different language for me.
What about you, Zab, for the year 21?
I think my focus for next year is like I'm chasing a different level for my company and just for some of my clients. So my focus right now is everything operational. So like really getting operations under control, having really smooth processes and systems and making sure that everything works the way that it's supposed to, everything around, employees, all of that stuff, all moves according to the same plan. For my company, for my clients' companies, that's just my focus in general.
I love it. See, that's that. Boy, that's that.
She summed it up just short and sweet
That's
like that.
Yeah, but
it says so much.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know how to talk like that to that degree. Even though I'm sure I'm doing it. I know I'm doing it, the marketing part. But
goddamn right.
It might not. But it might not be marketing if I lay everything on the table and talk to somebody that's in that actual field. You know what I'm saying? Like I found out, communications, man. I found out PR. I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna be doing that. Off the
You
jump.
Just knew, yeah.
I just knew. I was like,
know.
PR,
Yeah.
I can do it, but I'm like, I ain't gonna do that.
Most people know. You either want to do it or you don't.
Yeah, like, but marketing is like, it puts you in a different spot. You know what I'm saying? It still gives you that position to be able to do, to be a creator and be able to
do a little
delegate.
bit of everything.
Yeah, to delegate your stuff. So I need to be in that spot. But what you just said, wow.
Oh, and I'm very focused on data. Like, so to his point, like the side of marketing that I'm really focused on right now is data. And not just like numbers with audience, but like data from people. I'm actually considering going back to school and getting some more education in psychology. It was funny that you said that because I want to understand behaviors and patterns, why people do the things they do, what makes you make a purchase and why, how many times do you do it, how much money do you spend on things and why. Like I'm very focused on that because the keys and the answers to those questions.
Like look at how these websites are.
Oh yeah.
Like, when you put something in your cart, you know what I'm saying? I didn't even realize that they would like alert you or send an email saying, "Hey, you put this in your cart." You know what I'm saying?
Your cart's still there.
And even with that, for Amazon to go back and look at the numbers and be like the ratio of people that put stuff in their cart and buy it versus the people that put it in cart and leave it and don't do it. Like that's extremely important because that helps them with their financial aspects and the way they move, because they could be doing a process and it's a waste of time.
Absolutely.
We need more of those people.
Well, now companies, and this is just, a tidbit of information, because we're still trying to figure out how we're going to deal with it. So, we run a lot of ads for a lot of my clients. And so they sent an email out through Facebook saying that coming up in 2021, they serve and get a lot of information from like third-party apps. That's why, like, if you talk about something, it'll pop up on your Facebook page. So that might be going away, where like third parties information may not be accessible to advertisers, where they can tap into that. And so what that meant to me, I read that email like a million times. What that translated to me was that now companies are starting to understand their power. They didn't understand it when Facebook presented it at first. And it was like, oh, just give us access to your data and, we'll use it however we use it. We'll come up with licensing, money, whatever. So either the money is no longer the same and they want more, or they can't agree, or they understand the power now. Like, oh, okay, so if we just keep our data, maybe we could do something with that. We harness that power now. Instead of just giving it over to you, or giving it over to you for whatever cost we're giving it. And so we have to, if you don't want to work in the system, then you have to really know your data. You have to really know your audience. That's the only way to walk around it. So, like, to your point, when you were talking about that other magazine that you were trying to get into but couldn't figure out a route, you could say, well, I'm not going to worry about them. But for you to do that, you have to really know the other people that you can work with. Like, there are Black-owned newspapers, Black-owned radio stations, there are Black-owned magazines. Like, so if you want to figure out a different route, what other pathways can you take? Where is your audience really at? And how can you tap into those?
I mean, listen, brother. I mean, I know I probably can't take home much work, but like a magazine has been mentioned like 2 or 3 times within the past like 3 months. Like, are y'all gonna do a magazine that is at a third? So if you would like to spear that shit off, you have every realm to do that shit, and NPN could be the stamp all day.
We need more of that.
That's why the media. That's why
we need more of that.
That's why I need to present NPN, because I'm like, yo, I need people to understand this is a media company. Like,
yeah, you saw what I sent my text. I was like, look, hey, and NPN is necessity now for a rollout.
But that's why I send you even the stuff that I send you sometimes. I send it to you because I want you to know that, like, you're in that lane, but you got to start being in that lane.
Yeah.
You got to know that you're here and that's what you're doing, so that people take you serious in that space. Not that they aren't, but so that the world takes you serious in that space.
Yeah. And I do feel like even the stuff that I've done this past year, people see it. Even with the 40/40 joint, like Facebook. Like, I mean, that noise on Facebook is crazy. Stupid.
I saw it on Twitter, and then that's how the algorithm works. And then I went to Facebook, and then that's when I was like, oh, everybody has seen it. I didn't know if you had just put it out or what. Well, when I went to Facebook, then I knew.
But even with that, like, me being 40, 41, you know what I'm saying? Like, I run with it's a crowd of people that's in their 40s, realizing that.
How many girls said you? Never mind.
Listen, well, we got that guy. You got yourself also.
Never mind.
You see, that's that brain. That's that brain. She caught she's like, all right.
I forgot.
I'm just.
Never mind.
Yeah, whoa.
But all right, I guess that would be a good point to end that at You're Safe Here. Thank y'all for tuning in. You can follow me at Respect Mr. Walker on all social media platforms. Everybody, y'all already gave y'all social media. Thank y'all for tuning in once again, and we'll see y'all next time.